Hello Finxters, and welcome to this Pandas tutorial. Today we are talking about the Pandas groupby methods, and we will see what it is and how we can use it on our own datasets. To get an understanding of how that method works, we will have a look at an introductory example. First, we import the necessary libraries, which is just Pandas in this case. We have the example data as a dictionary with the country column, population column, and continent column. So, for example, Canada has a population of 37.59 million people and is located in the continent North America. Then we create a Pandas data frame with the data we've seen before and assign it to the variable df. And if we output df, we get a standard Pandas data frame, as you've probably seen one before if you've done something with Pandas. Now, what the groupby method is, it groups the data by a specific column and executes a function in that. So, for example, if we wanted to have the mean population per continent, we could use the groupby methods combined with the mean function. And this would look like that. df.groupby, and then we say by which column we want to group, which is the continent column, continents.mean. So we group the data frame by the continent and execute the mean function, so we see what the mean population for every continent is. If we execute that, we get another data frame with two columns, continent and population, and here we see that, for example, Africa has a mean population of 39.68 million. As you can see, the initial data frame only has one numeric column, so if we do it, execute something like this, we get the mean value by continents for every numeric column. Since we only have the population column as numeric one, we only get this one as the outputs. But let's say you have multiple numeric columns, but you only wanted to calculate the mean for one column. We could do it like this, df.groupby. Again, we choose the continents. We say which column we want to use for the calculation of the mean, which is population. And we say again .mean. If we execute that, as you can see, the information is basically the same, just that this last function adds the data type of the population column. So by doing this, we can choose which column we want to use for the groupby method. By now, we've only seen the mean function as the execution on the group, but basically you could choose any function to execute on your groups. So if I type this again, group by the continents, and then just type the dots, the program shows me which functions I could use, and as you can see, there are a lot. We could, for example, choose the sum, which is a popular one. If we execute that, we get the summer population for every continent. So, for example, North America has a summer population of 493.39 million people. A very elegant way to calculate some basic statistics of your data is to use the describe method, which is another very useful one. We again type df.groupby, again the continent, and we say .describe. And if we execute that, we get for every continent, for the population, a lot of statistical data. For example, the count, which means every continent has, in this case, every continent has 3 countries. We get the mean value, per continent, which we've seen before, the STD, which stands for standard deviation for every continent, and the minimum value, the maximum value, and 25th, 50th, and 75th percentile. So as you can see, it is possible to choose multiple functions to execute on a group, but using the described methods, you cannot choose which ones. But there is a way to, specify which functions to execute on your group. And to see how that works, we have a look at another data set. In this case, we basically start from the beginning. We again import the Pandas library, which is actually not necessary because we already imported it, but I just do it to have it all together. Again, we import Pandas. We have an example data set which contains basically the players' data of two fictional basketball teams, the Blues and the Reds. So the data says which team the player belongs to, which position he's playing in, forward or non-forward, each player's age and each player's height. And then we create a Pandas data frame, again as before with the data, and assign it to the variable df, and if we output that, we get another Pandas data frame. Now we can execute the egg function. As I've said before, we type df.groupby. We, in this case, group by, for example, the team column. And then we say .egg, which stands for aggregate. So we aggregate which functions we want to execute on the team column. In the parentheses, we put a list with all the functions we want to use. Let's say we want to have the median, for example, maybe the mean and the standard deviation. If we execute that, we get another data frame, and it says that it is grouped by the team, Blues and Reds, and for every numeric column, the age and height, you get the median, mean, and standard deviation, as we've said in this line of code. But let's say you wanted to have different functions for different numeric columns. To do that, we can also use the egg function, but modify it a little bit. Again, we group by the team column. We say egg again as before. And this time we apply a dictionary. And the dictionary's key contains which column the key contains the column. Let's say age, and for the age column we want to execute the functions mean and median, and for the height column we want to have like the standard deviation, for example. As you can see, if you have multiple functions to execute on a column, you do a list with all the functions you want to execute, and if you have only one, like for the height, you just put it in as a single string. And if we execute that, you see another data frame, and this time we have for age and height, and each team, for the age we have the mean and median, and for the height we have only the standard deviation. So this way you can modify like to which columns you want to apply which function. By now we've only seen how to group the data frame by one column, but it is sometimes a good idea and very useful to group by multiple columns to dig more into your data and to get more information out of it. And this looks like this: df.groupby. Say, for example, we want to group by the team and the position column, and we wanted to have like only the mean this time. We execute that. This time you see that we group by 2 columns, the team and the position column, and this way we can see even more information from the data frames or from the data. So when we just group by 1 column, we could only compare the teams among each other and the positions among each other. But this way we can compare each team's position among each other. So you can dig deeper into your data. For example, the first line says that a blues player who plays in the forward position is on average 23 years old and 2.165 meters tall. And yeah, that is basically the group by function, and this is how we can use it. There are some more aspects we could add here, but this would be a bit too long. If you want to have more information, you could check out the official group by documentation from the Pandas page. If you want to have more Python tutorials or Pandas tutorials, check out the Finxter blog. And yeah, that was the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and goodbye.